Hello and welcome. This is Patty Azzarello, and I'm really excited to share with you today this webinar on confidence and resilience. It's such an interesting topic, and it's one that so many people have been asking me to share information about. So I'm really pleased to have an opportunity to do so. So for those of you who are new, let me introduce myself. Again, I'm Patty Azzarello. And just sort of a snapshot on who I am in my career and where I've been and what I've done, because it's quite relevant to our topic today, is I started my career at the bottom, like everyone else, with thankless entry-level jobs in engineering and marketing, and I ultimately built up my career through every level of the organization, ultimately to become a general manager and CEO of a Silicon Valley company. I've run large and small organizations and have run global organizations, done a lot of different stuff. Currently, I have my own company, and I'm an advisor to companies and executives on strategy and leadership. But one of the things that I have carried through my whole career and into my business now, today, is just a passion for helping others in their own careers. When I look back at whatever success I've had, whatever business results I've generated, whatever wins and gains I've created, the thing that was always most meaningful to me was the opportunity to help other people get breakthroughs in their own careers. So these webinars represent a part of my business that I call my executive mentoring group, which allows me to continue to help others in their professional development to get their career breakthroughs. So I just want to give you a little bit of context for what we're doing today. So today's webinar, right now, live, what we're doing, this webinar is free to the public, and this live broadcast, the webinar replay of this will be available for 1 month. So those of you that are new to the program, welcome. Each month I choose a topic on professional development, on business leadership, on personal effectiveness and leadership. And today's topic is on confidence and resilience, and we are participating now in the live webinar. You will also hear me talk about the idea of an executive playbook. And there is an executive playbook on this topic where the webinar will give you insights and ideas that you can learn from. The executive playbook is an opportunity to really take action on these ideas. And it is available to members of my executive mentoring group. And what you get in the playbook, in addition to this live broadcast, is more stuff, more insights, more content. There's a Q&A, there's templates, worksheets, and scripts to help you put this into action. You get ongoing access, so after a month you can still access this webinar as long as you're a member. There's streaming video, MP3s, there's a guided action plan with weekly insights, and there's an opportunity to get live coaching with me. So as you're listening to this, what I'll do is at the end of this webinar, I will tell you, even if you're not a member, you can get this playbook for free. And I really am excited to be able to offer you this playbook for free, so that after we go through this today and you learn some new ideas, you'll have access to this playbook so that you can really take action and get the benefit of these ideas in your own career. So I always start by talking about where our topic fits in the success model I describe in my book Rise of Do Better, Look Better, and Connect Better. And this topic really, I think, nicely fits into the Connect Better category. But it's not just about connecting with others, but it's about connecting better with yourself and finding that internal source of confidence and resilience. And so the model of Do Better is always about making sure you are as most effective as you can be, adding the most business value, having the most business impact, Look better is about making sure you're not invisible and ignored. It's about building credibility and positive visibility. And connect better is about building a network of support for your career and your work. And this idea of confidence and resilience really will help you do all of the things, all three of these things in the model that are necessary to have a successful career. But today, I just want to get a little bit more personal than I usually do and share with you my own experiences and how you can think about you and your confidence and resilience. So what I'll share today are some practical ideas and actually things that are small changes. What's so interesting about this topic to me and my experience is that small changes can make an enormous difference. So we're going to talk about giving yourself permission to feel more confident. We'll talk about how to use your inner strengths and authenticity. We'll talk about changing your internal story to give yourself more power. We'll talk about how you can be less defensive and more resilient in difficult situations, and how you can continue to build positive energy to fuel success in your career. So, as I mentioned, I'll tell some personal stories in this webinar. And I just want to start with kind of a picture of me. And if I look at my internal story and I look at the feedback I get from others and what they observe about me, these are some of the things that are on the list. So I have had a very successful career. I've gotten lots of promotions. I've got lots of good friends. I enjoy my life. I travel. I'm strong. I'm fit. I'm active. I'm respected. I'm consulted. And I'm self-assured, right? The ability to do these webinars, to put my ideas out in the world. That requires a degree of some courage and self-assurance. And so I was thinking about this, and then I started thinking about another woman that I know. And this other woman, when I think about her life and what she's struggled with, she's been fired multiple times from jobs, passed over for promotions, dismissed and demeaned at work, divorced, bullied, suffered emotional abuse, physically weak, often sick, unfit, struggled with weight, insecure, worried, and a lot of trouble asserting herself. And when I think about this, and I think about myself, and I think about this woman, and I think about what's the difference? Like what made the difference here? The first interesting thing is that both of these women are me. And I think it's really important to share this because my life has not been perfect. I have not been perfect. I've suffered my share of hardships. I've suffered my share of obstacles. And the difference between these two women, the me before and the me after, and as I thought about this in preparing for this webinar, the thing that just became so clear to me is that the fundamental difference is simply to keep going. It's not that people who are successful have had everything go their way. But in my own experience, the difference was to simply keep going. And when I suffered disappointments, setbacks, failures, when I was demeaned or pushed away or shut down, I just kept showing up. And I just kept moving forward. And that, I think, is why people ask me to talk about this topic, because people say, Patty, how did you do that? In the face of all of that discouragement, how did you keep going? You know, where did your confidence come from? Where did your resilience come from? So I want to share with you a few techniques that I've learned and developed that I think helped me develop my confidence and resilience. But I have to tell you, one of the switches that you can just flip in your life is to just decide to keep going. And that is going to make an enormous difference. So the 4 specific areas that I want to talk about today are, number 1, the idea that confidence is a choice. Number 2, be you. Number 3, tune your internal story. And number 4, get moving. These are the things that helped me really exercise that idea of resilience so I could get stronger and continue to make improvements over time in my life. So confidence is a choice. The big idea here is allow yourself to feel confident sooner. If I could go back in time and advise my 20-something self like one thing, if I was only allowed to give one piece of advice, it would be this: allow yourself to be confident sooner. I was always so worried that I was too young, that I didn't belong, that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't experienced enough, and that I had to do a bunch of things and achieve a bunch of things before I had permission to feel confident. And so what I encourage you is throw away that checklist. You are never going to finish the checklist of all of the things you have on that list of saying, until I check off all these things, I don't deserve to feel confident. You're never going to finish the list. Throw it away and just realize that even if you did finish the list, the last thing on that list would still be that you need to allow yourself to feel confident. You need to give yourself permission to feel confident. And the main struggle I see that people have with confidence is they just don't allow themselves to have it. They think they don't deserve it. They're not ready for it. They haven't done enough. At some point, you need to learn to trust yourself. Think about it this way. Every single person who is a CEO, every single CEO has been a CEO for the first time. And in that first time, they don't know everything about the job. It's impossible. There are things in a CEO job that there is no way to know about until you get in that chair. And what they did is they allowed themselves to get there before they knew everything. So really think about ditching that checklist. And this idea of don't build your own cage. Many people feel powerless, not because someone else took their power, but because they never claimed it. And so you might have teachers telling you you're not good enough. Your family might be disappointed in your career choice. Your community might say, no, no one in our community pursues that type of career. You shouldn't do that, right? Those are all obstacles. Those all represent a need to swim upstream. But that cage that you feel, the door isn't locked. Make sure that you're not stuck in a cage that you created yourself or in a cage that your community created, but the door isn't actually locked. You're just feeling pressure, but actually all you need to do is get up, claim your power, and walk out of that cage. And I can tell you, as I pursued my own career in high tech, as I was going through high school and into university, I had plenty of people telling me, Patty, that's not a career for a woman. Don't do that. Do something else. And I decided I was not going to accept that cage. And I just walked out of it, and I kept showing up. One of the other things that I think is so important in terms of claiming your confidence is to resist comparing yourself to others. Anytime you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, just stop. There's nothing good or productive that comes from it. Because even if you really, really admire somebody and you think, wow, that's amazing, it's great if you think, what can I learn from that? You know, what lessons can I take to apply in my own life? That's positive. But if you look at that person and say, wow, they're so much further ahead than I am, they're so much smarter, they're so much better than I am, that just ends up making you feel bad. And the worst part about this is I see so many people fall into this trap, is that they think too highly of others, and then that makes them feel insecure, and then the only way they can feel secure and confident is to put someone below them down. So they feel bad by comparing themselves to someone bigger, and they feel good by putting down somebody they think is smaller. It's just a bad idea. Don't compare your success to others. Learn from other people's success. Be inspired by it, but just don't compare yourself. And the other aspect of this is don't compare your inside to someone else's outside. And this is really hard because you see what someone else presents to the world, and it's packaged, it's managed. They're showing their professional self, they're showing their marketed self, they're showing themselves in a very managed and polished way that they want the world to see. And if you compare yourself to that, you're comparing your guts, your inside, your insecurities, your fears, all your humanness, all that real stuff to someone else's polished exterior. It's not a fair comparison, and it only ends up making you feel bad. So my advice here is just, if you ever feel yourself comparing yourself to someone else in any way, just realize that's not a good idea. And don't do that. Learn, but don't compare. The next thing I want to talk about is the power that you can find by simply allowing yourself to be you. So I talked about letting yourself be confident sooner. And one of the ways to do this is to really understand who you are and be that. So finding what is authentic for you can be a great source of confidence. Taking some time to understand your values, taking some time to understand your boundaries, and making sure that you don't let people trample all over your boundaries. And one of the things I have to tell you that took me way too long to learn is simply the phrase, that's not okay. I took on all kinds of challenges and pain in my life, and I didn't know how to handle it in my professional life and my personal life. And it was much, much later that I figured out the phrase, just say, that's not okay, and what power that gives you. So understanding your boundaries is one thing, but protecting them is another. And that phrase has been magic to me. And that also lets you just sort of land on your authenticity and realizing that the only thing you can control is your actions and reactions to things. And when you're being authentic, you actually create a base of stability that helps you drive away fear. So let me share another example from my own career. I was in a really nasty corporate environment. I was on an executive team. I was the only woman, and everybody on that, they fought. This team fought nasty. I was appalled, and I felt very uncomfortable in these fights. And the CEO actually told one of my colleagues, I'm really worried about Patty. She doesn't fight enough. I don't see her getting angry. She doesn't fight enough. She's not going to survive here. I may need to fire her. And when my friend told me that, my first reaction was fear. Oh no, I'm going to get fired. I'm not right. I'm not the right kind of person. I'm not aggressive enough. I'm not doing the right stuff. I'm going to get fired. But the way I handled it was actually to not become like that, to respect my values, to respect my boundaries, and say, you know what, the authentic me is not nasty. I don't fight and get nasty to try and win points. I try to make real business progress in a way that is not demeaning or nasty to others. And so what I ended up doing is, in these executive staff meetings, I would let all the men fight for 45 minutes, and then I would look for an entry point, and I'd say, you know what, I've been listening, and although you're all fighting, it seems like all of you and I agree on this particular outcome. Why don't we take a moment to talk about this outcome instead of fighting about what we're fighting about? And it was so funny because after a while, they would all fight. I would sit there. I did not compromise my values. I would sit there. I would let them fight. And then one of them would say after a half an hour or so, they'd stop the fight and say, okay, Patty, I think it's time for you to do that thing that you do that gets us to stop fighting and helps us move forward now. And that was just such a big lesson for me, because if I tried to change myself, if I tried to be like them, it would have been painful. I wouldn't have been very good at it, and I don't think I would have been successful. But I really respected my own values and boundaries, and I leaned on my authenticity to make sure that I was not going off course. One of the other things I want to mention here, I don't have time to talk about it a lot in this particular webinar, but it's just to recognize that we all have natural strengths, and our natural strengths are different, and we tend to dismiss them. Because when you're doing something that uses your natural strengths, it feels easy, so it doesn't feel impressive. And you look at someone who's doing something you're not good at, and you think, wow, that's impressive, and it makes you feel insecure. We need to flip that around, and we need to realize that everyone is looking at us when we're using our natural strengths and saying, wow, that's amazing. And so I don't have time to talk about this now, but there is a class on authentic leadership and personal brand. It's a video class of me teaching, and I do a deep dive into this area of finding your strengths and using your strengths and using it to build this really strong basis of strength and confidence for your career. But just remember, you have natural strengths, and don't worry so much about not being good at everything. Don't worry so much about fixing your weaknesses. The more you can focus on your strengths, the more you will have that natural sense of confidence. So finding your solid ground starts with leading with your strengths, investing in your strengths, stop trying to be good at everything, and trusting yourself more. And when you really step on the gas on the things you're naturally good at, magic will happen. I promise you, magic will happen. This was a big deal for me because, as I've said before in some of these webinars, I was a technology business executive, and I wasn't very good at technology. And I was scared. For years, I was scared. But once I started focusing on my strengths, my career soared, and dropping that fear was just a beautiful thing. It was a wonderful experience. So another way to find solid ground is just to make sure that you're willing to ask for help. This made such a big difference in my career, because pretending to be good at everything when you're not, it drains confidence. It's not authentic, for one. And anything that's not authentic drains energy and confidence. So for the things you're not good at, get help. And getting important things done with help will build your confidence. I can't tell you how many times in my career I had a task, a program, a project. I had no idea what I was doing. And my first reaction was to be afraid and think, I'm going to get fired because I don't know how to do this. And then I realized, Patty, just ask for help. Get help. I got the help. I learned how to do it. I created a success. And that experience of success built my credibility, and it built my confidence. So don't let your ego get in the way of asking for help. You don't need to pretend to be good at everything. You're not good at everything. And the way around this and the path to confidence is being willing to ask for help. So I want to talk a little bit about this idea of resilience. And resilience is resilience because it's not easy. Resilience is about taking a punch, taking a hit, and not letting it stop you. So one of the things that really helped me was just to give up on the idea of work being comfortable and feeling welcoming. I didn't worry about that. It's like, I don't feel comfortable or welcome here, but that's just the way it is, and I'm going to keep showing up. Recognize it's not easy. Sometimes it's not fair, and that you only fail if you stop. Show up, show up, show up, try again. And resilience is when you get attacked, don't get defensive. When you get dismissed, come back. When you're made to feel unwelcome, stay. And I realize emotionally that's not easy. But I promise you, if you do it, every time it gets easier. And every time you stay, people will realize, oh, you know what? This negative behavior I'm trying to do to get this person to go away isn't working. And eventually they stop. In my career, I could just tell when people were telling me I was unwelcome, I didn't belong, I wasn't technical, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't man enough, they didn't want me there, whatever that was, and I just kept showing up, people would, I just could see it in their face. They'd be looking at me like, she's still here. How is she still here? We tried so hard to get her to go away. And then ultimately they realized, well, she's still here, but you know what? She's really smart. Maybe we should, take advantage of the skills and strengths that she's bringing because we actually need that. So I know it's hard. It's emotionally difficult, but resilience is a matter of practice and just remembering you have the permission. You are allowed to be there. If people are making you feel unwelcome, that's about them. That's not about you. You have the permission. So just claim that permission and keep showing up. One of the other questions I get a lot of times is about the idea of assertiveness. And in my own career, so many times, people would tell me, Patty, like that one example I already gave, you're not nasty enough, you don't fight enough, you're not aggressive enough, you're not competitive enough. The corporations are nasty, aggressive, competitive places, and if you're not that way, you're not going to make it. And I couldn't do it. That wasn't who I was. And it just seemed like a bad idea. So I never, ever gave into that. And what I learned from a mentor is that you can be assertive without being aggressive. And you can be hard on results and kind to people. So what I did is if there was poor performance, if expectations were not met, if things were not delivered, I was really clear and hard on accountability to results. But I was never unkind to the people. And I've met lots of other really powerful business leaders that took that same approach, men and women. You can be hard on results and kind to people. And if aggressive is not authentic for you, it's okay. Don't let people tell you you need to be more aggressive. If that's not who you are, find your power and authenticity and focus on accountability and results, but be kind to people. And just keep showing up. The world has so many ways to conspire to make you feel like you are less than you are. And the only way to combat that is to act. It's to show up. It's to decide what to do and to not take it. And when the world conspires to make you less than you are, just don't accept that. Okay, so we've now talked about some of the external pressures that threaten your confidence. I now want to talk about you and your internal voice, and ask the question, what does your inner voice tell you? And does it need to shut up? So many times our inner voice is not a positive voice. It's a negative voice. It's a sabotaging voice. It's a critical voice. It's a voice that's telling us, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. You're not ready. You don't deserve this. We need to get that voice to shut up. And I promise you, everyone has it. If you're a human, you have an inner critic. Maybe the only way to not have an inner critic is if you're a psychopath, right? And let's not choose that. If you're a human, you have an inner critic. So what we need to do is to start taking control of our inner story and silencing that inner critic. And one of the ways to do this is to just stop listing your negatives. And this is something I still have to catch myself from time to time. You just get into this loop where you list all the things that are wrong with you, all of the things that you've done wrong, all of the things you're worried about, all the things you're insecure about, all of the mistakes you've made. If you keep creating that list in your mind, it's the wrong internal story. You're never going to be confident. But it's hard to shut that voice up, right? For whatever reason, we humans have this tendency to have this really negative, critical inner voice and inner story. And so you can't just tell it to shut up and it automatically will go away. But what you can do is replace it. Tell a different story. Replace, every time that negative list starts to replay in your mind, replace it with a positive story. List your strengths. List the things you contribute. List the things that you give, what people count on you for. List the ways that you add value. List the ways in which you are kind to people. List the ways in which you put positive things in the world. Just start making a different list. Catch yourself on that negative list and say, oops, not allowed to do that. Let me replace that with my positive list. And particularly if you can focus on your natural strengths, it gets easier and easier and easier. But it is so important to tune and change your internal story. Some of the things that reinforce your positive internal story, and this one is really, really important for me, is to always remember things are never as bad as they seem, and things are never as good as they seem. In any moment, if you're on a real high or if you're on a real low, I always remind myself, in reality, it's somewhere in between. And I take great comfort in this when things are feeling really bad. And when I think just, I'm on fire and everything is going my way and life couldn't be better, I just remind myself, you know what? This is all good, appreciate it, but there's probably going to be something you're going to need to deal with. Life is not going to stay this perfect forever. And I find this to be a really balancing, positive thing to reinforce my positive internal story. Another thing that I think is so important is to just, as often as you can, change your default from I can't to I can. And this can be on little things. This doesn't have to be on big major things. I'll never be a CEO. You don't have to pick something like that. Pick small things. It can be something creative. It can be a physical exercise. It can be just an idea, something that you've always wanted to try, but you think you can't, and it's a small thing. Try it. The more times you can transition from I can't to I can, your brain gets that exercise. It gets stronger. One of the ways I did this I can't to I can was with physical exercise. When I started exercising, I could not do a single real push-up, not one. Now I can do a gazillion push-ups, right? That became an I can. There were things in my business where I didn't know how to do various things online and use different online systems and create value and share it online. And that was a big I can't for me. but I asked for help. I got help and I did it. That's become an I can for me. And I tell you, each one of those things that becomes an I can just puts fuel in the tank for your self-confidence. And the more of those you can do, the better. Start small and always have an I can't in mind that you are motivated to try to change into an I can. And that also helps you change your view of obstacles. And I love this phrase. How can you make your possibilities seem bigger than your excuses? And so when there's something you want to do in your life, something you want to change, I know for me, the first thing is a whole lot of excuses. Why it won't work, why it's impossible. And if you can get in the habit of just pick something that you say, no, damn it, this one's important to me. Even though it seems impossible, even though I can list so many reasons why it won't work, this one matters to me. And then create that list. Create that list of excuses. What are all the reasons you can't do it? What are all the reasons it won't work? And just work on them one by one. Get help. Get ideas from others. And just one by one, knock those excuses off the list. And at the same time, think of the possibility in your life that you will have by achieving this. What else can you build on the shoulders of achieving that? And making those possibilities bigger than your excuses will allow you to just move through the things that are blocking you. The last thing I want to talk about is the idea of taking action. And I love, 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 love this quote from Pablo Picasso, where he says, inspiration exists, but it has to find you already working. So inspiration doesn't strike when you are sitting still. Inspiration starts when you are already moving and you're already working on something and you're already learning and you are then open to inspiration. And I have found this true in every single aspect of my life, in creative aspects, in physical aspects, in writing, in creating. Inspiration has to find you already moving. So start moving. Start walking a path. It doesn't need to be the perfect path. Solutions to tough problems come when you are in motion. Inspiration comes when you're already doing something. And confidence is built from action and experience. So you could be looking at path A or path B, and you could analyze it and think about it for the rest of your life and never make a good choice. So why not start walking, right? You start walking on path B. You take a guess. I'm going to use path B. And it's full of rocks, and it's really hard, and it's uphill, and it's wet, and it's miserable, and you think, you know what? This is a bad path. So then you turn around and you walk on path A. But now you have information. You know something about path B. And then you walk on path A, and you go a little ways, and you realize you come to a cliff edge. And path A doesn't even continue. And now you know everything you need to know about path A, and you have enough information to get the right gear and equipment and get ready to take path B. But you never get the answer if you're not in motion. You never get the answer if you're sitting still. So start walking a path, and you are going to get answers, and it's going to build your confidence. And I just love this idea. It's sort of one of those things you find on Facebook that's funny. But in addition to being funny, there's a real important truth here that good decisions come from experience, but experience comes from bad decisions, right? So people who are successful don't get it right all the time. Of course, you can get good experience from good decisions, but you also get good experience from bad decisions. You get experience from taking action. So don't feel paralyzed. Don't stand still. If you need to fix something, answer something, do something, start walking a path. The last thing I want to talk about moving is something that has created an enormous difference in my life in terms of my own confidence, and it's simply physical exercise. Being stronger physically makes you stronger mentally, absolutely. If for no other reason, just the physical aspects of it, oxygen and blood flow help your brain, mood, and any kind of ailment you have. It all helps. Physical activity also helps to silence that inner critic and reduce negative thoughts. You're taking up energy in the physical activity, and you don't have as much energy to dwell on the negative thoughts. Physical energy gains and sparks confidence. And physical gains improve your internal story. It turns another I can. It turns another I can't into an I can. So I'm a really big believer in, if you want to increase your confidence, get moving. So some ideas to take away here. Number one, just remember, don't wait for somebody to give you permission. You already have permission. Let yourself be confident sooner. Trust yourself. You're good enough right now. I promise you. You have natural strengths. You're good enough right now. Don't wait for permission to move forward and be confident. Number two, be you, be authentic, and build your story. Bringing your true self to work gives you a huge sense of confidence, and it helps you make your internal story a really good, positive one. And then invest in action. Move forward, learn as you go, and get to a new I can. So my final thought here is to just really think about this story, right? It's up to you. It's your story to create. Create a story and a path forward for yourself that makes sense to you. Know your boundaries, know what you want, be authentic, and move forward. So what I want to do now is talk about this executive playbook and how you can get it. So again, today's webinar, this live broadcast, you'll have access for 1 month. But if you want to get the playbook, you get all these other things I mentioned before. More insights, content, Q&A, and the templates, worksheets, scripts, ongoing access, streaming video, a guided action plan that you can use weekly, or you can do it self-paced, and you also get live coaching from me. And you can get the playbook for free. Just to give you a little bit of a dip into the action plan in this particular playbook, there are 3 categories of guided action. One is about practical approaches to confidence, and there are worksheets on situations that shake my confidence and ideas for seeking help and support. There's some brainstorming on worksheets on understanding what is true for you and your greatest strengths. And there are also some worksheets and templates and guidance around the action piece, the getting moving piece, and thinking about how you want to show up and getting from I can to I can't. So those are the things that are in the worksheets and the workbook for this playbook. Some upcoming playbooks in the program are selling your ideas, managing your own performance, and negotiating your budget. So lots of interesting topics coming up in the program as well. So if you want to get the playbook, you can become a member, and there is a 30-day free trial. So if you sign up for the 30-day free trial, you can get this playbook for free and explore the program. Becoming a member means that I can be your mentor, and I love that. It's why I do this program. I love to help people get their career breakthroughs. So a couple of quick stories here. Carrie is a member, and I got an email from her that said, "Thank you, I got 2 pay raises and 2 promotions." And this idea of confidence was part of Carrie's story because she was just working really, really, really hard, and her work was not being seen or recognized or appreciated. But this program gave her the insight that she had to make her work visible, and it gave her the confidence to go do it, and she did, and she got 2 pay raises and 2 promotions. one of the questions that I sometimes get is, is the program too generic? My situation is unique, and can this really help me personally? What about my specific situation? And I think this is such an important question because, yes, every situation is unique, and the problems that you are facing and the people you're dealing with and the challenges that you're facing, those are unique to you. And that's why I offer live coaching as part of the program. 2 times per month, you can join a coaching session, and you can ask me your own questions and get personal coaching from me. And there's always time for questions. A lot of people like to dial in and just listen, and we have never run out of time for questions. So I promise you, if you have your own questions, you can get access to me live and get coaching and mentoring specific to your situation. Here's an email I just got this week, and I have to tell you that it really made my day, and I couldn't describe what I hope people get out of this program better than Adrian has described it, where he says, "I'm amazed by the executive mentoring group. I've joined the mentoring meetings and I'm blown away. You've provided me an insight into management, and I learned from you many things I had no idea about before. You told me how an executive thinks, how a manager should think, strategize, and go about planning his team's work. I'm excited and hungry for more. You really opened my eyes into senior management world, and now it's much more clear for me what I have to do as a manager to succeed and make a difference. It is indeed a goldmine of information and knowledge." This is why I do this program. I was so lucky to have mentors, and I just felt like I was so lucky that I was learning all these secrets and learning all these insights that nobody else was learning. And so this program is for me to give away all those secrets, and that anybody who wants to know what works, that's why I put together this program, is to just really, really share what works. So the way the membership works is it's $269 for a whole year. And again, you can get a 30-day free trial, and you can get access to the playbook on confidence and resilience with that free trial for free. And it includes live coaching from me, a playbook every month. There are 12 executive playbooks in a year, but there's a curriculum of 24 playbooks, and as an annual member, you get access to all of them immediately, and then you get the action planning tools, templates, system structure, reminders, all of the things that I mentioned, as well as a private Facebook community. Other programs that I've looked at that offer content, monthly deep, rich content and monthly coaching seem to cost, at least $200 a month. I've seen some for $350. I've seen some for even more. And I have decided to charge $269 per year because I do this program because I really want to help people. And one of the things I just want to make sure that you think about and are aware of is that most companies have a professional development budget, and a lot of people get this reimbursed by their company out of their company's professional development budget. So if you're interested, it might be that all you need to do is ask your company if you can join this program and get reimbursed out of the professional development budget, and that will be fine. I would say that probably half the members, their company pays for it, and the other half of the members, they pay for it on their own. So again, if you would like to join and start your free trial, you can go to execmentorgroup.com/trial, and you can start your free trial to my executive mentoring group. And if you'd like to join as an annual member, you can get a discount. It's about a 23% discount, and you get access to everything up front. So in the annual membership, I mentioned there are 24 playbooks in all, and they're in these 6 categories. There's 4 in each category. Be more strategic and have more impact, executive presence and standing out, credibility and executive communications, organizational influence, networking and sponsorship, and then your career, energy, and sanity. And this month's topic fits into this sixth category. But again, there are 24 playbooks in all, and if you'd like to explore that, you can just go to execmentorgroup.com and you can preview all of the playbooks, and you'll be able to start an annual membership. But let me just review what you get in the free trial, because it's actually quite a lot of stuff. So you'll get the playbook on confidence and resilience. You'll also get 2 bonus executive playbooks, one on ruthless priorities, and that playbook comes with a Ruthless Priorities ebook that's yours to keep. Even if you cancel your trial, you can keep the ebook. You also get a playbook on mastering executive communications, and this is these two are 2 of the most popular and foundational playbooks in the program, so I wanted to make sure that you had access to them right away, even in the free trial. And that comes with a really great resource, which is a 10-slide executive presentation template that, again, is yours to keep even if you cancel the trial. You also will get an invite to a coaching hour, 1 coaching hour each month, where you can ask me your own questions. What I realized is the way our system works is that the playbook from last month, which is Negotiating Priorities and Conflicts, is still in the system, and it will be there until tomorrow. So there's like a little trick. There's a back door here that if you join today, you'll actually get 4 playbooks as part of your free trial. And then tomorrow, this Negotiating Priorities and Conflicts will go away. You'll still get 3, but if you join today, you can get this, you can sneak in and you can get this extra playbook, so you'll be able to explore these 4 playbooks as part of your trial. And you can cancel at any time. There is no risk. I promise this is not some sort of trick to trick you into a subscription that is difficult to cancel. You can cancel at any time. If for any reason you are confused about how to cancel, just send us an email and we'll make sure that we cancel for you. And you can get all of this stuff in the trial, and there's absolutely no risk. So you can go to execmentorgroup.com/trial, and you can start your trial right away. So just a couple last comments here that I really like from some members is from Liz. Patty's advice is practical, decisive, and direct. What you'll get in this program, very much like our webinar today, is not dry academic stuff. It's experience-based, practical ideas, and when you put it together with the worksheets and templates and scripts, it's really super practical. And I love this comment from Steve, is that the program creates a permanent improvement because it changes the way you think about your career forever after. So if you go to execmentorgroup.com/trial, you will see this screen where you can select and you can start your free trial, or you can choose an annual membership if you're ready. And again, you won't see this on the site, but today only there's this sneaky trick where if you join today, you'll get the extra playbook for free at execmentorgroup.com/trial. So a couple more comments from Colette. I landed my dream job. From Vicki, I can do this. She changed things from an I can't into an I can. She's no longer intimidated by the steps necessary for career development. So I will end there. Again, here's the information on the screen. If you want to start your 30-day free trial, you go to executivementorgroup.com/trial, and you'll get the 3 playbooks and an invite to a coaching session. All right, if you'd like to ask a question, I am here. If you've dialed in on the phone, you can hit *6. If you've connected online, you can just click to ask a question, and I'm happy to answer questions about the program or about anything. So here, what would you like to talk about? Thank you for those of you in the chat window that have given me feedback. I really appreciate that. There's a question here, would you define resilience as grit? I have found the concept of grit very interesting as a principle. Yes, you know, I also like the word grit because it's, as I said, it's not easy, right? And just keeping moving forward in the face of challenges, I think resilience and grit are very related. So I've got a caller here. Hi, Alan. Go ahead. Oh, I think, Alan, you've clicked in. Do you have a question? Maybe not. Other questions? No problem. Alan pressed the wrong button. Another question. Have you ever had to deal with any sort of retaliation in your past jobs? You know, I'm thinking of one situation that comes to mind, and it was when I was hiring somebody from another organization, and the manager was really angry with me for not following the process, and there started to be a retaliation. But what I did was I just went and I talked to the manager and I said, you know what, I think we have a real misunderstanding here. I understand you're upset. Let's talk about it. If I did something wrong, I want to correct it. I thought I was following a process. And she was so blown away. She's like, I can't believe you're actually coming and talking to me like a sane person about this. And so I have found that when somebody retaliates, if I just kind of have a human conversation with them, it takes away the animosity. There's a question here about the free monthly membership. Can I switch to the annual membership later? Yes, absolutely. The monthly membership does transition, the free trial does transition to a monthly membership, but just send us an email after you join the monthly membership, and we will work it out and make sure that you can switch to the annual membership and you don't get double billed or anything. That's no problem at all. And we would love it if you start, you know, if you join as an annual member but you want to start with the free month first, that's totally cool. Other questions? Happy to answer anything. Last chance. We've got a couple minutes left. Happy to help, happy to answer questions. All right. Again, if you would like to join, execmentorgroup.com/trial. We've just got a couple of questions popping up here. What if your inner voice tells you to move on from your role or job for the better, whereas mine confuses with staying back dealing with people issues because the work and the scope is good? You know, it's always a high anxiety decision to stay or to go. In my experience, what I did was I would always look at what is the future I'm pursuing and which job sets me up better for that future. Is it staying with my current job or is it moving to another job? And it wasn't just about this job or that job, it's which one of them sets me up better for the future. And sometimes it was really hard and painful to leave my current job. But it was the right decision to do. Another question here, how to tell a coworker to stop interrupting you when you are busy. You know, one of my favorite techniques here is if you work in an office and you have some sort of doorway or entry, or even in an open space and you see this person coming, stand up. stand up and start walking away. Start walking for a coffee, start walking to the bathroom, and don't let the person kind of get their hooks into you. The other thing is to just set your boundaries and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now. Come back at 2 o'clock. I'm in the middle of something. I cannot, I don't have time right now. You're allowed to say that. Another question here, how did you apply this in your personal life? I have had some difficult relationships in my personal life. I mentioned in the front, in the beginning of this webinar, that I was divorced twice, right? That means that wasn't all happy and fun. And the thing that I think was most critical in my personal life that I wished I learned sooner was just about boundaries and really understanding what's okay and what's not okay, and learning how to use that phrase and simply say, you know what, that's not okay, and really sticking with that. That's the one thing that I think has made the biggest difference in my personal life. Also in my personal life, I always try to find an I can't and move it to an I can. So I've set some athletic goals for myself. I've set some artistic goals for myself. I've set some writing goals for myself. I've set some language learning goals for myself. I don't do all these things at the same time. Just throughout my life, I've taken on these challenges, and every time I get from an I can't to an I can, it really helps in my personal life. Last question here. Can we share the recording of this webinar with friends, and how? Yes. So since you are registered for the webinar, you will be getting emails that say the webinar is available, the webinar replay is available, and you can forward that email to as many people as you want, and the webinar replay will be available for 1 month. And then anyone can watch that webinar replay for the month. So I will close here. We've crossed the top of the hour, but thank you all for your questions. And again, to start your free trial, go to execmentorgroup.com/trial. And if you're on the fence and you're thinking about starting a trial, remember, if you do it today, you can sneak in that back door and get the extra playbook for free. You can get 4 playbooks instead of 3, but if you join in the coming days, you will still get the 3 playbooks and an invite to a coaching hour. So thank you all so much for your feedback on this webinar. I see the text messages coming in. It's really gratifying to see all these messages. I appreciate that, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I wish you great luck and success, and give yourself permission. Be more confident now. That's the one thing that you can change in an instant, is to just give yourself permission to be more confident. So thanks everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you in another webinar. Bye.